Hiya folks, Sandro here, and today I'm going to be talking about Genndy Tartakovskys Primal. Yes, the show called Primal. Now, this show's been out for a while, but you know what happened? I was streaming on the previous Tuesday, and we were talking about cartoons. We always talk about cartoons every Tuesday. And I was talking with one of my, I guess, my subscribers, and his name was Evil Cat. So Evil Cat, if you're out there, there's a nice little shout out to you. And you guys were telling me, you guys were saying basically, you should finish watching it. So what I did when this show first came out, right? I had heard that I'm like, what the fuck? This show got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is just something I've never seen before. And everybody was telling me to watch it. And so what I did was I watched the first 3 episodes. So I watched the episode up to the Mammoth Graveyard. You guys remember that one? So episode 3, A Cold Death. So I saw the first 3 episodes. This is the one with the mammoths, where they fight the mammoths. I saw the first, I gave it the old 3-episode test, and I'm watching it, and the show kind of doesn't, they don't talk in this show. They do, like, they do say a little bit towards the end, but there's not much talking in this show. And I'm the kind of guy where, like, I like shows where there's, like, lore, you know, like there's like lore. Growing up, I played RuneScape, you know what I mean? Like I would play all the quests, and I would learn about the like fantastical lands of Gelinor or Gielinor. How do you even pronounce it? I don't know. The lands of RuneScape. Yes, Gielinor. I think that's how it's pronounced. So I would always be reading things. Like I actually read all the Chronicles of Narnia books. Did you guys know there's actually like 7? Wait, how many? Hold on. Chronicles. I've read all of them. Chronicles of Narnia book set. There's like 7, I think. The last one was the Unicorn book. I think I have the box set. I definitely have the whole box set. I'm not sure which box set I have, but yeah, I have all the books. It might be this one. Yeah, I think the Unicorn one is the last one there. Yeah. I don't have this particular one. I have a different one. But there's a whole bunch of these books. I actually read all the Harry Potter books before the movies came out. I've actually read every single copy or every single book in the Lemony Snicket's series of unfortunate events books. I think there's 14 if I'm not mistaken. There's something like 14 books. Quite a bit of books. 13 actually. 13. I've read them all. They're not that long though. But I do love these books. So I'm the kind of guy where I always, growing up, I love stories. I love reading these stories and getting invested. And then I saw Primal, and I watched the first 3 episodes, and I really tried, guys. I really tried to get into this show. And I was just like, okay, this show has cool battles, but like, what else though? Like, it was just kind of like, here's a random episode where this dude and his dinosaur are like going across the land, and then it ends. It's basically, this is the same creator of Samurai Jack. It's basically Samurai Jack, but there's even less talking, and there's no, like, I don't know, at least like Samurai Jack had like a goal. You know what I mean? Like there's no goal in this show until the last episode, episode 10. There is finally a goal. Episode 10, there's a goal. So like if you watch episode 1, right? Like if you Samurai Jack, the goal of Samurai Jack is he has to get back to the past, right? He has to get back to the past. He has to defeat a coup and get back to the past. That's the whole show's premise. So every episode, he's trying to find like time portals, and he's trying to find ways to get back to the past so he could stop a coup. And so it's one of those shows where it's like, here's the good versus evil. This show, the first 3 episodes that I watched were literally just like, here's this dude, here's this like caveman and a dinosaur, and they just go on adventures, and then the episode's over, and then that was it. And that was it. So I quit after episode 3. I quit after the mammoth episode, and I decided, you guys convinced me. Evil Cat, the man himself, he convinced me to go watch this. Not only that, I believe one of my other what the heck was that? I don't know. By the way, in my Discord, we're talking about how Disney made a new Home Alone reboot. But anyways, hold on a second. I talk about Primal. Yeah, so even one of my another one of my subscribers named Jolly Dark, he also watched Primal, and he said he liked the art style, and yeah, I basically ended up giving my thoughts here a little bit. Okay, funny enough, at the time when he messaged me that, I had actually just gotten to episode 8, and I said, I do not think it's 10 out of 10 so far. Again, I'm going off this Rotten Tomatoes. See, the people gave it 8.7 here, 4.5, okay, so I'm going to give my score at the end. I'm going to go through every episode, because there's only 10 of them. There's only 10 episodes. I'll just talk about them. And no, it's not 100% show. 94% of like this show, but guys, like, I'm sorry. Maybe it's just me, but I didn't find this show to be particularly engaging. It wasn't something as exciting as like Ben 10, where there's all these characters, and like the aliens have home planets and they have lore, and there's like backstory and continuity. And this show has continuity, though. There is episodes that link into each other. Some of them don't. Some of the episodes don't link into each other. They're just like one-off episodes, kind of like Samurai Jack. Samurai Jack had a lot of like one-off. There was literally a Samurai Jack episode that was literally just a copy-paste. Like it was kind of like a wackier version of like Alice in Wonderland. And I think like the last episode of Samurai Jack is literally, they do a parody of the fairy tale Momotaro, which is a Japanese fairy tale. But yeah, so Samurai Jack had these like one-off episodes that really don't like add anything. And this show kind of has that going for it too. But some of the episodes are actually, continuity based. So yeah, let's go. I'm going to give my review here, my final review. Did I give it a 10 out of 10? No. Should I just tell you my score? Maybe I'll keep you guys wait. No, I'm going to tell you at the end. Okay. Episode 1. We're going to go really quick, run by down. So this is spoilers. Spoiler. If you haven't seen the show, go watch it, because I apparently inspired other people in my Discord to go watch this show too. I mean, to be fair, I had already seen the first 3 episodes, so I only had to watch 7 more. So I did rewatch all the episodes, though, just to get a refresh, just in case I missed anything. But yeah, I had originally seen the first 3. So episode 1 is, in my opinion, the probably the best episode. I gotta get, it's either, I think this is the best episode, actually. A very depressing episode. Basically, there's a caveman. He loses his kids get eaten by this giant ass dinosaur, and so he wants revenge on the dinosaur. And then as that's happening, also this green dinosaur, which is a female mother, her babies also get slaughtered by the dinosaur. So basically, both of the main sort of characters, the dinosaur and the caveman, do we ever get their names? I don't know if we get their names or not. I just call them the caveman and the dinosaur. But both of their children end up dying and getting eaten by dinosaurs. But luckily, they using teamwork, they're able to defeat the dinosaur that like slaughtered their children, and they're able to move on with their lives, sort of. In the second episode, we see that they're having some troubles now that they're teamed up. Man and beast are challenged to find a way to exist together. So this episode was about the dinosaur and the caveman trying to work. They were, now that they're a team and they were able to sort of unite to defeat that dinosaur. They stick together, but then they find out the dinosaur keeps eating all the food while the caveman isn't able to get any. So eventually they kind of like come to an agreement. They do kind of fight each other. I thought that was pretty exciting. That was exciting. They do fight each other, and eventually they work things out, and yeah, they end up being friends, and they end up sharing their food. So then we get to the episode 3, A Cold Death. What happened in this episode? In the harshness of the primordial winter, a herd of woolly mammoths hunt for the murderers of one of their own. Now, this is really weird, okay, because the first episode, they're in a jungle, and then in the second episode, they're in a jungle, and then immediately they're fucking in, like, Antarctica or some shit. I don't know what the fuck happened, but they immediately went from a jungle to the fucking like Arctic regions of the Earth. I don't. Well, how did that happen? I don't fucking know. But yeah, that happens. And then the episode was really interesting. It plays off of this old sort of fairy tale or sort of like urban legend that when elderly elephant. Okay, hold on. I gotta look up the term elephant graveyard. Hold on. It's something like when elephants get old enough, they just wander to this place of death. Elephant graveyard. Okay. Elephant. Okay, here we go. Is there really such a thing as an elephant graveyard? There's a legend that elephants have graveyards where they go to die, but science has never proved this. Nowadays, it seems northern Kenya is littered with the carcasses of elephants. Oh, wait, that's not Are there really elephant graveyards? Okay, I don't want to read all this. Holy shit. But basically, the idea is that elephants, when they get old enough, they kind of just like wander off on their own, and they go die in this one place. And this is what this episode is kind of based off of here, A Cold Death. One of the mammoths gets left behind in the cold, and then, he basically gets eaten by the main characters, and no, there was something else. What else attacked him? Was it vultures or something? There's so many different like animals in this show that get like attack them and stuff. I can't remember what attacks. Was it raptors or wolves? Oh, it might have been wolves. Yeah, I think that's right. I think it was wolves. I think like some wolves like try and kill the mammoth, and then the mammoth is weak, so then the caveman and the dinosaur is like a lizard, so you'd think it'd be like cold-blooded or some shit. You think it wouldn't do so hot in like colder temperatures, but nope, perfectly fine. So yeah, they're in the middle of like some winter region all of a sudden. God only knows how much, like, when you watch episode 1, you're like, okay, episode 2 takes place like probably like a couple days later. Then you go from like episode 2 to episode 3 and you're like, how many days has it been since that? Like, how the fuck did they get there? You know, how did they get to the cold? But yeah, I guess it was just winter all of a sudden. I don't fucking know. But yeah, this was a weird jump for me. But anyways, the mammoth. They actually almost die in this episode. Weirdly enough. Okay, hold on. They almost die in every episode, but this episode actually felt like they should have died. There's a couple times in this show where they literally felt like they should have died. The mammoth, they had to go up against so many mammoths that there was no way to actually do it. And basically, the caveman returns the mammoth's tusk. He ended up like using the tusk as a weapon, and then he presented it to the herd of the mammoths. And the mammoth took it with his trunk, and he left them alone, even though they were like literally about to slaughter them all. This is a problem that this show has. There's just times in this show where like the main characters should have died, but then all of a sudden there's like a spontaneous reason why they don't die. It literally just it feels like one of those Deus Ex Machinas. Where like every time it's like, okay, they're about to die, they're surrounded, they're wounded, and then there's a blood moon, and then for some reason the mammoths accept the tusk and now they're not going to kill them. It's like, what the fuck? It happens a couple times in this show where it's like they literally should have died, but then some magical thing happens where they don't die in the end. So that's episode 3. And then, they basically bury the mammoth at the mammoth graveyard. And episode 4, let's find out here. The horrors of the Red Knight challenge Spear and Fang for the very survival. Yes, this is a really weird one. Terror under... Wait, is this Terror under the... wait a minute. Episode 4. Yeah, Terror under the Blood Moon, right? Yeah, this is the Blood Moon one. Okay, so this one was really weird. Really weird episode. Like, there's a giant spider, which is like apparently the boss of all these bats for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's like the bats were scared of the spider, so they just like would always bring it like meals. I don't know why the spider was like the boss of like all these bats for some reason, but it just kind of happened. And this is another episode where it just kind of felt like they should have died. They were being chased by raptors in the beginning of the episode. Then the Blood Moon comes out, and then even though they were surrounded, poof, too bad. Now the raptors don't want to fight anymore. And then the bats come out, and the bats don't even manage to kill them. And then they have to go all the way up this giant pillar of rock, which is the spider lair. And basically it's just another one of these episodes where like there's a bunch of animals trying to kill each other, and then so we don't get any kind of like backstory or lore in this one. Rage of the Ape Men. Now this is one of the most interesting characters, and one of the things I really hate about this episode is how much they reuse the animation. Okay, so in this show the caveman has a face. Let me see if I could find this actually. Primal caveman face. He always does this one expression. Primal. It's kind of like that. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it here. Primal cartoon. Let me see if I can find this. It's kind of like this face, but it's a little bit different. I don't know if anybody ever uploaded a picture of it, but yeah, they use the same like face like a lot in this episode. It's like this surprised Pikachu face. Okay. It basically kind of looks like this, but it's more of a close-up, and they just keep using it. So this is a problem in episode 5. They literally reuse a lot of like the facial expressions a lot, and you can really notice it. But this episode was really weird because there was actually, it's also weird in episode 4, there were like humans that were like monkey-like. And then the very next episode is called Rage of the Ape Men. So I was like, does episode 4 go into episode 5? And no, it's another. And so it's like, basically they're back in the jungle again. So it's like they go from jungle, then they go to like a desert plain where there was like wheat fields in episode 4. So jungle, Antarctica. Then they're in some kind of like plain where like farmer plain, where there's rocks and wheat and whatever. And then episode 5, they're back in the jungle. So they're just like going wherever the fuck at this point. So Rage of the Ape Men. This one is really weird. This one, confirms that magic exists in this universe. So basically there's this trial. All of these monkeys are fighting each other to the death. Actually, I think some of them are gorillas, actually, yeah. And they're fighting each other to the death, and then they get captured. They capture the caveman and the dinosaur, and they basically are going to use them for like some kind of ritual or something, or just to fight to the death, because they don't really explain why they're fighting to the death. I guess it was just kind of like a tradition that they do or something. Or maybe it was going to be some like situation where whoever wins the battle becomes king of the ape men. But this episode did have some like cool action scenes, even though they reused animation a lot in other parts. They kind of like had to make up for that because this was a very action focused episode. But yeah, so there's this Rafiki, like Lion King, Rafiki. there's this Rafiki like character, and he is in there, and he gets thrown off a cliff and dies. And I thought that I laughed. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, they literally just push him off the cliff and he dies. I thought that was like fucking hilarious. That had to be one of my favorite parts of the whole show, actually. No joke. But yeah, so in this episode, weird thing, Rafiki makes like this potion that makes whoever drinks it turn into like a giant, steroid giant version of themselves, where they're, like Incredible Hulk, where they become like stupider and, very strong. So it's like the Incredible Hulk. So they, one of the gorillas decides to drink the potion to defeat the caveman and the dinosaur. And yeah, they just get injured pretty bad there. Actually, was this the episode where the dinosaur's leg get injured? Hold on. Yeah, it was. Okay, yeah. So the dinosaur gets like significantly injured by the gorilla, and yeah, what ends up happening is the caveman drinks the entire batch of the potion that Rafiki was making over there, and he becomes like a giant like Hulk ape man kind of thing, and he ends up slaughtering like every last monkey, and that leads into the next episode. So this is a two-parter kind of thing here. This is like one of the only episodes that had like continuity, and then Scent of Prey. So in the last episode, the dinosaur got injured by the gorilla that they killed, and because the caveman killed all the monkeys, vultures come down, and they want to eat the dinosaur. Then there's hyenas or jackals or something, and they want to eat them too. Spear struggles to nurse. Oh, they have names. So the caveman's name is Spear. Okay, see, I didn't know this. They never say their names in the show. So Spear is the caveman and Fang is the dinosaur. Okay, so I got to remember that. Spear and Fang. Okay. Whenever I hear Fang, I always think of Dave the Barbarian, right? You guys remember that character? Fang. Dave the whoa, what's going on here? Diamondback Energy is doing not so good in the stocks for some reason. Dave the Barbarian. How am I spelling this? There she is, Fang, and Candy and Dave the Barbarian. This was an old Disney show, I think. Yeah, Disney. Yeah. So this reminds me of Fang. I always liked Fang as a kid. I did like Fang. And funny enough, she's even like has that caveman theme to her. So there you go. Where's that article now? Article. Where's the Prime? Okay, wait a minute. So they got 37% there. I'm so confused. I thought this got 100%. Or is this a different one? Primal 2019. Oh, different show. That's a movie. That's a movie called Primal. But yeah, back to it here. So Fang and what was the other one? Spear. So I guess he's called that because he uses a spear. But anyway, yeah. So he nurses the I guess Fang back to health, and she's able to walk. Kind of slowly, and then towards the episode, she's able to run. And yeah, that's it. They get out of there alive. They fend off the hyenas or the jackals and the vultures, and they get the hell out of there. Next episode, Plague of Madness. This was the worst episode in my opinion. This like weird disease-ridden. I don't know. I didn't like it. This was a gross episode. I just did not like this episode. Basically this brontosaurus thing here gets like diseased by this other dinosaur. He gets bitten by this dinosaur, and then he's like leaking like nose snot, and like you can see here there's like some acid dripping or whatever the fuck. And then yeah, this is just not a great. I did not enjoy this episode. This is like, I guess it's memorable, but yeah, I did not find this to be a good episode. basically the entire time they're just running away from this disease-ridden or I don't know what kind of dinosaur, Brachiosaurus, I don't know, whatever, the long neck, you guys know, the little foot kind of dinosaur. Yeah, that kind of dinosaur. So they're just basically they're just running away from that. So basically this thing gets diseased and then it kills the entire herd of like brontosauruses or is it Brontosaurus? Brontosaurus it might be. Let me see. How do you spell it here? Brontosaurus? Is that a thing? Brontosaurus. Yeah. Okay, so it's a Brontosaurus. There we go. Look, I learned something in school, everybody. I did it finally after all these years. Let's close that one. And so basically the entire time they're running away from this goddamn this thing here, this Brontosaurus that is ridden with disease, and finally it falls into a volcano and it just kind of burns up and turns into ashes for some reason. That's something that happens 2 times in this show. Monsters or like I guess dinosaurs get set on fire. And instead of like their corpse burning, like if somebody is set on fire, usually their bones are left behind. This show has like, fantasy level fire where they just burn up and then turn into like, they poof into ashes. It's like cartoon I mean, it is a cartoon, but like, yeah, kind of weird. It's kind of weird how like they portray blood. They portray blood and like disease and all this shit. But then it's like they do fire and they just kind of crumble into like ashes. And I'm like, what the fuck? So yeah, that's what happens in this episode. This is just my least favorite one. Wouldn't you know it? April Fool's Day. Wow. Okay. Coven of the Damned. Then the show, and I would have given this show an 8 out of 10. I would have done it. I would have given it an 8 out of 10. But then, like, what the fuck happened in this episode? What was this? So this is a show where a caveman and a dinosaur named Spear and Fang fight off other dinosaurs for survival. So what do you think they go and do? They go and make an episode about ancient witches that have like snake powers, and also they can stop time, and also they can go into people's memories, and they turn a Scotsman into a baby. I was like, what the fuck is happening? And then, like, the entire show is literally like, here, let's fight some dinosaurs. And then it's like, magic everywhere, witches, time travel, fucking, they're looking at people's memories. They've got like, there's literally an alien or some kind of demon creature. I don't even know what the fuck happened in this episode. There's like witches, there's fucking pterodactyls, mind control. This episode has mind control. This is just the wackiest. Yeah, I don't know. What is this? An alien? Like, what the fuck is this creature? And so this creature turns things into human babies. And it has snake powers, some kind of snake energy. And also it has the ability to see through the eyes of a pterodactyl. This episode was just off the rails. I don't know. Was it an ancient witch? Was it a fucking demon? Was it an alien? Nobody knows. Nobody fucking knows. But yeah. So this is the wackiest episode for sure. Yeah, look at that thing. So there's basically this like shadowy witch creature that like, okay, let me explain it here. So where was I? Google. No, we got to go back. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Coven of the Damned. Okay. So basically in this episode, this witch right here, actually, in this guy's thumbnail, her daughter kind of dies there. She has a daughter, which was probably a human man that got transformed into a baby girl. And because that's what happens in this episode. They do this weird ritual, and they turn like a grown man into like a baby girl. And so they get these like witch creatures or whatever the fuck these things are. They basically do this ritual, and then the caveman, Spear and Fang happen to oversee it. And man, it's just a really fucking weird episode. I don't know what they were thinking with this one. I mean, it was cool. It reminded me of Samurai Jack, like that's what Genndy Tartakovsky is known for. Samurai Jack had like all these weird episodes where like sometimes they would have machines, sometimes they would have magic. Like there was the Scotsman. Funny enough, another Scot in this episode, a Scotsman dies. And in Samurai Jack, there was like a Scotsman character that was like reoccurring. He even appeared in the last 10 episodes too, as a ghost, I think. Yeah, the Scotsman. Yeah, this episode is just wacky. So basically, there's like time travel. Or no, it's not time travel, but she has the power to stop time and or slow down time, I guess. And it's so weird. It's just such a weird episode. Basically, it was a story where like her daughter fell off a cliff and died because she wasn't paying attention. And then she looks into the mines. She's able to open up a portal into their mines. And then she's able to see that the caveman named Spear lost his children, and the dinosaur named Fang lost her children to the dinosaur. And so she felt sympathy for them. They were going to be sacrificed at the altar and probably turned into like babies, or I don't know what they were going to do with the dinosaur, but probably just brain control it like the pterodactyl. But so he was going to be turned into a baby, and then she has a change of heart. And yeah, it was such a fucking weird episode. Like if you watch the first 7 episodes and then you watch the 8th episode, you're like, what happened? This just has a different tone. This felt like a different show all of a sudden. Yeah, this episode just goes off the rails, and we don't really get an explanation for anything. It's just like magic exists. Hooray. And we do see that magic does kind of exist in episode 5. We do see that one of the ape men who was Rafiki, he was kind of like a parody of Rafiki. He made a potion that could turn you into like a giant lumbering like beast. But like this episode took it to like whole new extremes where it was like, this is no longer a potion. This is like fucking, here's a character that could stop time. Like, what the fuck? So yeah, Coven of the Damned, and basically at the end, the witch gets killed for betraying all the other ones, and they don't get to do the sacrifice. And she gets to be reunited with her daughter in heaven for some reason. Okay, so heaven exists in this realm. All right. Why not? Because we've already went all the way with this episode. Might as well have like some kind of afterlife. I'm assuming it's heaven. It could just be any kind of afterlife. This is another weird episode. And basically what happens here is a horrific unseen terror stalks the night as well as our heroes, Spear and Fang. So basically there's this kind of like dinosaur, and it shows him like for 5 seconds towards the end. It's this giant like dinosaur that has black hands, and it's kind of like ripping apart everything in sight. And so the entire episode is just them running from their lives from this creature called the Night Feeder, I guess, which is just some kind of like weird black dinosaur that like has giant arms or whatever the hell. And then they set it on fire. They end up finding out its weakness is fire, and it catches on fire. And then guess what happens? It turns into ashes again. Same thing. It's the exact same thing. Every time something gets set on fire, it just kind of like bursts into ashes for some reason. It just like kind of floats off into the wind. So yeah, I guess Genndy Tartakovsky just really likes burning things and turning them into ashes. Anyway, so that was kind of like I don't know, for the penultimate episode here, right? Is that what it's called, penultimate? Where it's kind of like the final episode before the season finale. Not very good. This has nothing to do with the story at all. It's just another like one-off episode that'll probably not be referenced again. Coven of the Damned, I could see that. I could see like a future episode where they go back to the witches, because he was not able. Spear, this is another episode where like Spear could have easily just got slaughtered here. These witches literally had like all kinds of superpowers, and they would have got killed. Like he would have got killed, and the dinosaur would have got killed. Like no problem. Or sorry, Spear and Fang. I got to remember that. Their names are Spear and Fang. Okay. So yeah, that's that. And then the final episode. This is the only sort of other interesting. So in my opinion, the top 3 episodes were probably. Man. Okay, so I think the worst is Plague of Madness, but episode 1 is the best. I think that Rage of the Ape Man just had, even though they reused a lot of animation in that episode, I think it just was a very exciting episode. There was a lot of battle scenes. It was just very wacky, and I really like that episode. So episode 5 is going to be my number 2. And actually, sorry, my number 3, because my second favorite episode is Slave of the Scorpion. So finally, in this episode, let's read the synopsis here. Spear and Fang are confronted by a far more developed human than they've ever encountered before. Yeah, so in episode 4, they encountered these like monkey humans that weren't even like, they were kind of just like stupid and they didn't really do anything. Then in Rage of the Ape Man, which was 1 episode later, you think they would wait before having 2 episodes in a row with monkey-looking men. No, apparently. Rage of the Ape Man, it just, we get to see more. These guys have like magic at least. We know that like one of them at least makes potions. So, yeah, so the Ape Men were a little bit more civilized. But then we get to see this human. What was her name? Mira, I think her name. Mira. And she's very advanced. She can make an archery bow. She can make a bow and arrows too. And actually, did she make arrows or did she just fire something? I can't remember if she made arrows. I think she did. But anyway, yeah. So she can make like weapons and shit. And she was a slave. So this is why the episode is called Slave of the Scorpion. So basically she was a slave that escaped from some kind of like civilized village. And they might have shaved her head because she was bald. But, yeah, I think that's what they did. I think they shaved her head. Maybe she's a sex slave. I don't know if that was implied or anything, but, maybe. Actually, I don't think she was a sex slave. She draws an image on the ground that says that like people were whipping her, which probably, well, I guess, okay, hold on a second here. I mean, there are some people who are into that kind of thing, but no, she wasn't a sex slave. She wasn't a sex slave. She was probably just like a regular working slave. And yeah, so she managed to escape, and then a boat comes. Unfortunately, we don't get to see. We don't really get to see who her kidnappers were. She kind of just like gets kidnapped, and then, we do kind of get to see them for a little bit, but it's not like we don't get a very good look at them. So yeah, we don't get to see them very much. We just kind of know their presence is there, and they basically are part of some kind of empire that has a scorpion symbol, and they do have a working boat. Like they had a boat that had like oars and shit, and yeah, so they end up kidnapping her. So basically, Fang and Spear save this girl named Mira. They end up freeing her shackles. They take off her neck thing. And, yeah, and then she gets captured again. And so at the end of the season, he actually speaks English, sort of, and he actually says Mira. He actually does speak. So we know he can speak a little bit. Or maybe that's the only word he knows. But, yeah, he ends up, towards the end of the last like couple minutes of this episode, he kind of like is staring at the boat that's kind of like, that has captured her. And season 2, it looks like they're going to set it up so that he ends up going to see a civilized human civilization, which is something we haven't seen yet. And I'm very excited. Now, Mira doesn't speak English. She speaks something. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a gibberish language. I don't know. But she does speak in some kind of like weird language. So we're not going to get English here. We're not getting English. But yeah, it's an interesting show. Overall, I give it 7 out of 10 because I felt like this show was just kind of all over the place. It was like, we're in the jungle, we're in the fucking Antarctica, we're just like, I don't fucking know. They were just like everywhere in this show. And yeah, a lot of reused animation, especially in the episodes that have fight scenes. They definitely just like, they had to save some budget somehow because those scenes get expensive. And overall, I give it. There's no way this is 100 out of 100. Okay, this is a solid 7, maybe an 8 if you're being generous. I personally think Samurai Jack is better. I think Samurai Jack is a better show. I think this show was interesting, but like, I love the characters from Samurai Jack. I love Aku. I love the dynamic they have. I like the Scotsman. I like the characters more. I think I just like the characters more. And the reason I like them more is because they speak English and I get their personality. You know what I mean? The caveman is kind of like, you can only express him with emotions because he really doesn't speak. And the same with the dinosaur. It's like she doesn't speak, Fang. She doesn't speak, right? So, yeah, that's basically it. I think, wow, 40 minutes. Holy shit. But, I like the show. I think Samurai Jack is better. And I am excited to see season 2 because it leaves off on an actual plot. This is something that the season suffers from. There's no plot. They're just kind of walking around doing whatever or trying to survive and eat food. And that's what they do for 9 episodes. And then finally, we actually get episode 10 where there's an actual plot. And it's a good thing they did this because if this episode wasn't here, if this episode didn't leave on a cliffhanger, I don't know if I would have been excited for I probably would have dropped this show. I'm going to be real. I probably would have dropped the show. I'm at least excited for a season 2. That's going to be my thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys thought. Did you give it a 7 out of 10? Did you give it a 6? Did you give it an 8? Did you give it 100? There's no fucking way it's 100. There's not a chance this is 100 out of 100. And I will say the animations, the art style is really unique. A lot of the scenes just look very beautiful, even though there's like not much in them. You could probably just go on here and type in primal scenes, primal backgrounds. Yeah, primal backgrounds. And this is the kind of things that are in the show. You just get these beautiful like backgrounds of like nature and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of weird because they're always in like different places, and it's like, how far could a guy on a dinosaur really travel? It's like, could they really make it all the way to the icy mountains and shit? I don't know about that one, but very interesting. There's a lot of cool shots here, a lot of jungle scenes, a lot of forest scenes here. Some water scenes too, Paradise Island there, a nice little, tropical island. And pretty cool. So and the action, as for the action scenes, this show is cool because it actually shows blood and gore and all that kind of stuff. So I was excited to see some cool battle scenes, but like, I need a little more substance, if you know what I mean, or sustenance, or substance too, I guess you could say. But yeah, that's it. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you give this a 7? Do you give it more? Are you excited for the next season? Do you want the characters to talk English? I think I do, honestly. Let me know any other thoughts. Do you disagree with me? Okay, you at least have to tell me about episode fucking 8, right? You have to tell me about episode 8. What the hell happened? I don't know what happened to episode 8, but that was a really weird episode, man. There's just like this snake demon creature, and like, what the fuck was even going on? Let me know your thoughts about all of this fun stuff in the comment section down below. Please like the video, please share the video, and please subscribe to my channel. Hey! Thanks, everyone. I'll see you later. This has been my little Primal review discussion, and that is it. Bye-bye. Peace out.